programming.
Well, I love that about the two of you so much. Thank you
Mhm.
for indulging me.
Absolutely. No, I'm so excited, Summer, that you suggested this because I think it's right on time, and I have really actually been dying to do this with you. Pick your brain more deeper into what you actually did and what your results are because of, me coming to the end of my program now and everything. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so curious.
And I've been wanting to do the same with you because I don't really know much about the program that you are on. I mean, I know some, but we haven't
Yeah.
really dove into the details. Um, but I'm curious, like why, why do you want to jump into a different program rather than keep working with the doctors that you're working with now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. Well, okay, so I don't want to jump. I always thought I'd keep them because I'm graduating, if you will, from my 9-month program. And they have another program called longevity, which is sort of just a continued membership of what we've accomplished and a continuation. So moving forward with it because it's kind of not a one and done kind of
The
thing.
word access, it's also providing you continued access to the
Access
tools and the folks that you've,
And support.
right.
and support. Yes, yes. What attracted me to this other situation was specifically these tests. And nowhere at any time were any of these tests presented to me as an option. And so I wasn't sure that they even had them. And I wanted to hear more about what I had heard in the webinar.
Mhm.
And because they had that special for reading the eyes, the face, essentially. And,
Mhm.
so I was in one place when I started my program 9 months ago, and I'm in a completely new space, right? I've done so much healing, and I wanted fresh eyes or a reading that somebody who doesn't know what I've been through sees and notices. And I wanted to see sort of what I've accomplished in this 9 months and what I have yet to work on. And I was kind of shocked by it because this young woman who read my face picked up on every diagnosis that I received. And that kind of shocked me a little because I did think that I had like healed or moved on from a great number of those things. And she was seeing them in my face. So my face is still saying, I have current active distress ongoing, which I kind of knew just because of the way that I feel. I feel hundreds percent better, yes, but also I don't feel like, oh, wow, that was great. I think I'm done here by any means. And my labs are also showing. I don't know if I told you this, but I have 3 labs in particular that are concerning me because I went back and started comparing them from when I first presented in the hospital back in January. So January 5th of 2025, I was doing far better in these 3 markers than I am today. And
Huh.
it has just been a steady downhill trajectory ever since. And I have been working so hard and doing so much, it got in my head a little and I got very concerned. And so I knew that I had an appointment with them that like it's called the summary, the program summary, where we would go over, kind of the fact that the program's ending and what we accomplished and what we have yet to accomplish. So I knew that was coming, but I hadn't yet had that conversation with them. And I was very surprised by, the reading that I got on my face. And this company then actually, or functional clinic, we'll call it, asked me to consider a urinalysis, a fecal test, as well as a hair analysis. And I remembered you did the hair analysis. And I have some friends in the Wise Women Circle who are currently engaging in that. And they're discovering so much about their current condition, I'll just put it, based upon these tests. And I thought, yeah, see, I haven't taken any of those, and I'm wondering if they would be helpful. And what I'm doing now is I'm jumping from letting the medical institution decide how my treatment works to my own inner authority on the subject and being my own medical manager, if you will. And so I've kind of given the power to take this project on squarely right here within me. And personally, I don't want to rule out or say I won't work with that over there, whatever that is. I want no parts of it because I did that for several years and I think it was to my own detriment. So my new approach is to look at absolutely everything that comes in my field. So I ask myself, what do I need to know on this topic? I'm feeling X, Y, or Z within my body, spirit, creator, however you want to, universe. Please show me what it is I need to see right now that will help me to recognize what's happening and then cooperate with my body because I trust that my body knows what to do. And either I help it or I hinder that process. And so I'm making my approach more interactive with the body itself at this juncture. And so my body got very excited at the idea of getting this facial reading. And then also, I had been asking myself, I wonder if I need more tests, if there's a blood test in particular. Like, I don't know how to go about discovering what is the root cause of, and these are serious things. So I'm having low platelet counts. I'm having um, low white blood cell. And the third thing is, what's the third thing? It's all related to making blood. Oh, um, the saturation of red blood cells, the red blood cell volume. There's a specific name for that, but I cannot recall what that is. So basically these three tests are pointing to an inability to make blood cells. And I remember in the hospital, they were very, very hard pushing to do a bone biopsy. They were suspecting bone cancer at that juncture. So I'm just using that as like a tool, like a signpost where to look. And I'm a puzzle piece trying to put them all together in a way that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So um, basically, I had been entertaining the idea of having these three tests. And I gathered all the information about the pricing and how that all works. Well, yesterday I met with Dr. J and had my program summary with my coach. And that was extremely eye-opening. And basically, the reason that they have never brought those tests to me were because of something Dr. J mentioned to me yesterday about the testing itself. He said studies have revealed that they're about 80% accurate. So that's a good number. 20% of the results, I guess you could say, are inaccurate. And he said, so there's a lot of investigative work that has to go into it to discover for you what it is. And he said, and sometimes he said, remember, these are living organisms that we're dealing with when we're talking about the parasites, um, bacteria, viruses. These things have wisdom, like they're building houses to hide from you. They are, partnering up with others in ways that we can't detect because this one is protecting it from detection. And so secretly it's over here thriving, but it doesn't show up on the test. And so because of that, he was explaining to me, which this is so beautiful, because then you sent me something that was just right into what he was saying yesterday. which is he said, Lisa, you're doing all the right things. He said, I wish you could appreciate how important what you're doing is because it's even more effective than tests and supplements. Listening to your body, tuning in, and trying things like experimentation, because the results are clues that will direct us in the right direction. Either we're getting closer to the solution or we're moving further away. And all of those tests are good and wonderful, but they're not the end all be all that I was hoping for, to be quite honest. I kind of wanted to just like, put something under a microscope and go, oh, there's the problem. And then give me a written, little program. Doesn't have to be a pill. I'm totally fine with doing things, but I wanted it to be still outside in. I could see that. Like I was still looking for somebody to fix this. Look at it under the microscope, tell me what it is, and I'll do it. And I'm realizing that's not what this is about. It really isn't. And it's all communing and community on the micro and the macro. No matter what you're looking at, I'm starting to really grasp that picture right now. So I thank this little micro community for supporting this because these conversations help me so very much. So that's all I want to say on that is that, and I haven't paid for anything or signed up with anything, but I'm really glad that I went through that process. Like I just followed an urge, oh, I want to do that, an
Mhm.
excitement, if you will, because it doesn't mean I have to do that to follow through, but I learned a lot in the process of doing that. And I always knew I was going to probably just stay with the longevity program and do something in addition. Like if they didn't offer that kind of thing and they're not familiar with it and they're not comfortable with it, I'm okay with that because I'm comfortable with it. And so again, this is more about me taking back my own autonomy, even if they advised against it and said, well, we don't do that because we don't believe in that around here. I wouldn't take it and run with it. Oh, well, okay, we don't believe in that. I get it. Thank you. Because I've done a
Yeah.
lot of that in my life. And I think that's exactly how I got to where I am with this
Mhm.
problem, actually. So I'm
Mhm.
trying new ways to get myself out.
Well, from an
Uh,
outside perspective, to your point, Lisa, in regards to communing and
mhm.
communities, from an
Yes.
outside perspective and a puzzle piece collector,
Yeah.
I see the puzzle pieces that you're speaking on and
Hmm.
how they've come into your field because I've borne witness to this as
Quite
that
beautiful.
outside perspective.
Hmm.
Um, And even more so with what you just said there. Over the weekend, just to share with you, Summer, Lisa and I, well, actually last week, we've been again looking to form community and communication within our community in regards to eating locally, locally sourced farms that provide the kind of produce and meat that we prefer. And we thought we had that in a little community market, so to speak. But upon further inspection and further inquiry, um, wasn't quite what we had thought or
Not
had
so much.
hoped. And so I began looking on the internet for, where can we find this near me, right? And
Mhm.
we found someone local. Again, it was a little local farmer in general. And so we made arrangements to go out. We didn't even, this one just said they're open, 9 to 5 on Saturdays. And so we just took
Piled
a
in the
little drive.
car,
Yeah, we piled in the car on Saturday and took a
plugged it
little
into the
drive.
GPS, and away we went.
That's right. And we arrived on site at Greenleaf Farms. And met
Caught
the
everybody unawares.
yes, but met the most wonderful folks and was able to purchase some great products that we turned around, and then Lisa made us a wonderful dinner on Sunday. And so from that outside perspective looking in, I can see where, and then just the very fact actually that you ended up, Summer, having relationship with the same folks that we had looked into, because you see, I'm not um, able to take advantage of the program that Lisa has, but I may be a little bit closer into being able to take advantage of what this other company has available. And so again, I just can't I can't unsee how synchronicities have been playing such a huge role.
And I also feel like too, like for my husband, um, that might be his a better intro fit for him than
Mhm.
the program that I'm doing. So the one that I do has a curriculum within it, and there's a huge component of, being responsible for yourself, showing up and working the curriculum. And there's, you know, I want to call them worksheets, but basically it's their way of getting you to think in a particular way, I can see, and also to stay in touch with where you are and how you're doing. So a lot of it's just, what you're feeling, and the questions are designed to bring out um, data that they need to help tailor it specifically to you and which direction to go without all this very expensive testing when results speak to it, according to their philosophy, much more efficiently. This is working or this isn't, and then they can make those adjustments with you. Well, my husband doesn't really have the time or the energy or the technical savvy to do all of that. And it really intimidated him to the point where, he keeps putting it off because I've been asking him, please, um, please see Dr. Smith. You can do this. Like this would be really great for you. And you've got me as a support. I'm in your corner. But there's something within him that feels very resistant to it. And I think it's just because of he watched everything that I did, and he feels like that's biting off more than he can chew, and
Mhm.
that's fine too. And so I kind of liked how the program you did was maybe less all of that aspect, and more focus on just the prescribed, I guess, healing the gut and all of that without the extra sort of work, because he's got me as a personal coach in the house. I could see where he might benefit from a less intense program that's has to do with technology, and an investment of your own time to watch the videos and read the materials. I created, well, I can't get to it with ease right now, but I printed out the curriculum, and it's like this here big. So every time I had to read papers, I printed them. And so each week I just did a little bit each week. So it didn't seem like a lot of paper and ink, but I have to tell you by the end of the program, it's a lot of paper and ink. But for me, I prefer paper to the electronic business too. I want to flip pages, and I want to highlight and make notes in the margins and that kind of thing. So I went ahead and made myself a book, and I have that. And that is really an invaluable piece to their program. And I highly recommend it for anyone, considering a program. And I know, Summer, you would thrive with that kind of program, the intensity, they're asking you to learn and to really participate. And so, there's a lot of us who this is right up our alley. So, um, I want to know from you, Summer, how about the process of what you did? So Like, take us through what your 90-day program, because, and that's the other thing, this is 90 days versus mine, which was 9 months. And so it seems like maybe that, because I had the 90-day cleanse and healing of the gut too, right? With my program. And then
Mhm.
I also had, so you could say 6 more months of tweaking and trying to fine tune my personal situation. So I'm just wondering what your experience was with your 90 days over there.
Mhm. Yeah, but before I do that, I want to go back to something when you were talking about the test results,
Yes,
and also how kind of dismayed you were with what they found when they were looking at your facial, you know, signs. I
yes.
wonder if there is like, like for instance, at the end of my program, they recommended doing another hair sample, but to wait at least 3 months afterwards, because
Oh,
to wait for the body, because the hair, I guess especially the hair is like the last vestige of where things like kind of
come out,
show.
show up,
So the doctor that I talked to said you need to wait because it'll let things kind of, you know,
flush out.
dissipate out of the hair. So I'm wondering too, I feel like sometimes the healing process is like so much longer than we really want it to be, and also the signs. Like once the signs are showing on your skin and
Yeah.
stuff, like it's probably been a long time process inside the body happening, right?
Right
So I'm
before
just
it's actually
wondering
showing up.
exactly before it's showing up on your skin. So I hear like your skin is showing what's happening in your gut, right?
Yes.
Um, but I wonder how long that process is before the healing reaches the skin, because it took a while to show on the skin and
Yeah.
on in the face and the eyes and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I kind of wonder about that, like what is the delayed response and how long should we expect
How long is too long?
results to
I
be
Yeah.
actually think
visible?
that's a very good point,
You're
Summer.
right, Summer. Thank you for
Yeah,
bringing that forward.
very
That
good
is
point.
huge. It is huge. I really, and now that you're saying that, um, I've been kind of making this awareness. Well, I've been on this path of learning about the world I really live in versus the world I pretend I live in. And I know I've caught myself really doing a lot of, but I'm magical and it can happen overnight. And yes, it can, and it does in ways that aren't visible, like you just said. But they're palpable. So for instance, I remember coming to the awareness that actually the moment I choose peace, let's just say I'm disgruntled at something, anything, my health, my relationships, the condition of the world. I look at it and it tells me, it informs me that I'm having a problem. And so I'm just feeling disgruntled about it. And what I've learned is that if I just sit with that instead of going, oh, I'm disgruntled about it, and just go, oh, look, name circumstance, right? This is happening. My partner's upset with me right now. Or I have bills that aren't being paid right now, meaning bills that are due by I don't have the funds at the moment to complete that task. Or these are just experiences from my own life that I'm pulling forth here to say that there's always something that wants me to say, oh, I'm so disgruntled. And so instead of like just going, okay, well, let's play that game of I'm so disgruntled, um, take a step back and go, oh, look, I don't have enough money to pay the light bill right now. Without an emotional charge, without a decision that I have to be upset about it or that something
Mhm.
bad is happening to me. And just sort of allow a space where it can be and I can be. And I can still be happy even while I have a bill due and I don't have the funds to execute the paying of this bill. And what I learned from practicing that is that the relief is instant. Like the moment I decide not to go, well, this is terrible and I'm so unhappy, and go down that happy path of being upset, and then more thoughts come to why I should be very upset about this. And then pretty soon I'm having like repercussions of not having this money, you know. Um, Instead of doing all of that, I could choose to just be at peace with myself and the situation. That is instant. The situation doesn't have to vanish in order for me to feel peace and okay with what is happening. And in that space, I have noticed that it also frees up the situation now to change, to become
Hmm.
fluid. And I'm noticing the quicker I can jump to just looking at it and letting it be what it is, and choosing to be at peace with where I'm at and what is happening, that instant peace is now becoming more instant in the outside reality, meaning what I'll find is maybe I sit for a day without the funds, and then some quirky event happens, and tomorrow I'm gifted. I walk down the street, I find a $50 bill. Oh, there's a phone bill. Okay. Like, and I don't get super excited and write a book about it. I just know that I'm always taken care of in every moment. And that really is the instant transformation that I have access to. And I don't want to put as much focus anymore on, like you were just saying, the way my face looks, because maybe my face hasn't got the message yet. But when the rest of me does, when my nervous system is so calm that it doesn't upset my face anymore, my face will stop breaking out. It will stop being angry and disgruntled. And so thank you for that, because that is a super important piece. And instant change doesn't necessarily translate into instant physical change of a thing. But also,
Right.
that's not how the thing gets out there. Like you were saying, it was something else brewing in the gut for, say, months or years even before it showed up on my face.
Yeah, like
So
because
thank
it's like
you.
in Ayurveda they have this like it's kind of just a visual representation of how disease starts in the body, and it's like your body's a bucket, and
Okay.
everything that you do, everything that you eat, all your patterns, like it's like a drip, 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 and when you're in your 20s and stuff, you can get away with lots of stuff, right? But you know,
Mhm.
that bucket's getting full. And at some point, you get to a point where, like, maybe your organs are like, I can't keep up with this. And that's when disease starts to show itself.
Right.
But the issue started a long, long, long time ago, way back there, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that's sometimes why it gets so frustrating too, because I go through phases where I'm just like, can someone just tell me the answer to this?
No, I,
'Cause
I
it's like,
feel you on that. I so feel you on that.
jeez, what the heck? Like, because I feel like honestly, I am very motivated. Like, if someone were to tell me, oh, it's right there, I would be all about it,
All over it.
right? But it's like this detective work that I have to do. And so sometimes it's just like, God, and also things are I think the water is muddied because there's so much information out there too, and a lot of it it just doesn't connect. It's like, no, you don't do this, yes, you do this, and it's just like, what, and so you really have to kind of piece it out and figure out what is actually true and right for you. And it's like, so I think like part of the journey for me too has been pointing me back here, like, you you think you don't have the answers, you think you're going to find them out there, but your answers are here, but you don't think they're here, and so you don't and so it's like, yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I honestly, I'm beginning to see that for myself. That is the biggest thing that I have, that it's like a theme. It's a running theme
Yeah.
because it points to what you said about the waters are so muddied. The only thing that we can trust is our inner. That is the only, because there seems to be, at least from my experience now for a while now, there's things proving things one way and the other on the internet, both of those things or a myriad of those things, right? And so it feels imperative at this point that we trust our inner guidance. And so, okay, so much so that to include when it doesn't look like it's connected, and yet it actually is, which is why that is so important that we trust the inner. I feel very specifically about that because there's been so much that's happened that I've watched, especially where Lisa's concerned, especially through this health thing now,
Yeah.
and the tendency we all, every human on this planet has to not just outsource, but hand that power over to another because they have those letters after their name. They went to school for this, so they must know better than me.
Mhm.
I know I did that for myself too, where the health is concerned, and it's still something that is so ingrained in all of us, most specifically where health is concerned, that we still have the tendency to acquiesce and allow them to tell us. And you know, I saw it happen with Lisa. She didn't really want to, but there, especially that situation with the ibuprofen. I mean, that was,
That was a big one.
that was a big one for that.
Almost took me off the game board.
Took you off the game board, just about. You're right.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. So I think, the healing process, the journey sometimes will take a lot longer because we took a long time to get to the place where we're at, right? And
Right.
so, and then also, I've heard a lot of the tests, like the tests they're like taking a snapshot of a very fluid process, right?
Yes.
And so I've heard, like, for instance, like everyone has cancerous cells in their body.
Yes.
Um, it's just a matter of like, when is that test? What's happening in that very moment they're doing that test to see. And like, what if that was just a transitory thing that they captured on that test?
That's right. Something that was leaving in that moment.
Yeah.
I actually think that it's more than that with the cancer cells. It's almost everything because I witnessed my ex had a physical and they wanted to put him on statins. And he went ahead and let them prescribe them, but he didn't want to take them, so he didn't. And they scheduled him to come back 3 months later to have another test to see where he was. Oh, well, the statins must be working because your cholesterol is great. And he never took a one. So you're right about the fluid situation. And he, even though he didn't realize he was paying attention to his inner guidance, but that is exactly what that was. He paid attention to his inner guidance, didn't take it, and actually didn't actually need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also heard someone talking recently on a podcast about how this was more of like a spiritual talk. But she
Mhm.
was saying that she was recently diagnosed with what is it called? Mast cell activation or something like that. I don't really
Okay.
know anything about that, but
Yeah,
I've
that's
heard it,
new.
like I've seen it
Me
in
too.
places, and I haven't looked into what that actually is.
No.
Um,
Is
but
that
she said that
MASS or MAST?
I think MAST, mast cell activation, it's almost like it's probably some kind of autoimmune something.
I got
Yeah,
it.
Um,
sounds like it.
but she mentioned that she feels like it's just our science, it sees like what a couple percent of reality, and then it's going to do testing, and so it's telling you what it sees and that 2% of reality. Okay. And so
Right.
we have all these testing and things like that that we rely on so much, but you know they were talking about how the body is changing right now, how the body is evolving right now, and in ways that science does not understand. And so
Yeah.
how is science's current testing going to understand? It's going to say there's a crisis happening in the body. Yes,
Yes.
there is a crisis because we're transforming, and we don't understand what that looks like from the lens that we've been coming from, right?
Oh, you're so right. You're
Yes.
so right. That I've
So,
heard that thing before, actually.
yeah, so that's another thing to keep in mind, right? Like
Right.
there's
Right.
just there's so many perspectives that you could take from this.
Yeah,
But
very much so. Oh my gosh, that reminded me of something. When you were telling that story, Summer, I thought of I do a lot of contemplating, and I have been seeing these videos, a lot of them recently, where people are talking to AI and asking questions. And
Mhm.
when you said science, has a way of asking a question and looking at a thing, and you're right, they have just like a very myopic, specific point of view, and so it's focusing on a piece, right? Not the whole picture.
Mhm.
Um, so these AI questions people are asking are very interesting, um, about reality, sort of. Okay, so there's one where a guy he's holding a pencil like this. And I guess there's a new thing where AI can see you if you use your phone camera, and it like it's interacting with you based on things you show it. And so the guy said, "Tell me what will happen if I release my pencil with my left hand." And so the AI said that the pencil would go like this and swing back and forth until it came to an equilibrium, and then it would stop. And so the guy said, "Do you see me?" And the AI said, "Yes, I see it." And he said, "Okay, so now I'm going to do it. I'm going to let go of the pen and tell me what happens. Tell me what you see." And so he goes like this. And then the AI said, so then he said, "So what do you see? What happened?" And he said, "I see the pen has dropped and is swinging back and forth." And he said, "No, you don't." Wait a minute. Look at the pencil again. Because he was holding the pencil just like this.
Wow.
And it was like you could see the bias in the
The
AI that it
confirmation bias.
it had an idea of what was going to happen, and that is what it saw. And so then when the guy called him out, he said, like it was the most awkward conversation after that. And he goes, "Oh, okay, well, let's try it again." And the AI could not wrap his brain around what was holding this pencil up. And so it never really connected in that way. And I thought of another thing. So I'm contemplating that going, wait, that is so weird. What is happening with that? There's also a thing that's going on. I love to find recipes and try them for different ways of feeding myself that don't involve certain things that I think have triggered my problems. Like you said, drops in the bucket for a million years. And I have to change those habits. Like I can't eat wheat. I can't. Not the way that, what we're doing to wheat. I don't know what the problem with wheat is specifically, but I know that it creates problems within me, period. So I've decided to get rid of it. And so I'm looking for recipes. And I have to say, I find about 6 or 8 fake recipes a day. And I've discovered this because I tried something once and it just totally flopped. It was a total flop-a-doodle. And it was very unfortunate because all of the ingredients were very expensive, as clean as I could find. These things are rare. Sometimes it's hard to hunt them down. And then they're very, very expensive. And I've ordered away from Sri Lanka for some of these things. And then it flops. And so I was like, well, what is up with that? Like, why can't I make these things the way they are in the pictures? Okay, so one thing that I've really noticed here is AI says, well, that should work. Scientifically, for some reason, AI believes so. People are using AI to come up with these recipes. And
Mm.
so the picture that you see, the video, is actually an AI's impression of what it would look like to do these experiments. And so it's performing experiments in its mind only. Well, I can clearly see the trouble you can get into working with concepts only. Like in a physical reality, you need to touch the pencil. And the fact is, what the AI isn't accounting for is that I'm hanging on to it, right? Like I'm exerting force. There isn't a pin inside with no force. The pen isn't just being propped up by something. That would be a different experience. That's not what's happening here. There's something else that it misses because it's not in the physical environment. There's something, that's why babies put everything in their mouth, throw things overboard, like they're all the things that you go, oh, bad baby, is their brain interacting with the tangible world and learning the physics, like learning what it is to interact in a physical material realm. And it's completely different than the thought and mental realm alone. And so you could almost say science is an AI. I had this little epiphany with myself yesterday that, like, oh, wait a minute. There's certain parts of science, like speaking specifically to that snapshot you were talking about, like because it works in this scenario or in this moment, this picture creates this reality. And so this picture is this reality. Not taking into account, you got a picture of a moving object that's going to be there for a half a second and then float on out the picture momentarily. Or that actually this is a finger exerting force and holding an object in space in a certain fashion. So there are just things that it's artificial intellect really because it's leaving out big parts of the picture that would lead to a completely different result really. And so I have been thinking in terms of, okay, so there's also, like we talked about this earlier too, the muddying of the water. You could have an argument for or against whatever you want, somewhere well articulated, well researched, with experimental backup for both outcomes. And how can that be? But the reality is, both of these outcomes are correct in just the right circumstance. And there might be only one circumstance where those two things are both correct simultaneously, or only one is correct and the other is not. So again, it's like the multi-universe theory, or however you want to look at it. The point is, where I am at, only I can know. And what my body needs, only my body can tell me. Period.
That's
End of
true.
discussion.
I think
And
you're right.
so that's the conversation. That's the communing with this community of cells and organized, because cells are individuals, right? But then when lung cells come together and cooperate and create the capacity for breath, it becomes the lung community. And so I can see now the beauty and importance of my universe working in a way that's whole and wholesome for me. And what's happening within me is of my making. It's the thoughts that I hold, it's the deeds that I do, it's, the participatory. So it's the community I live in and how that affects and influences my thoughts and my deeds. And all of that comes together in just the perfect synergistic way to create what is my life. And so, how could I put that in somebody else's hands and say, figure this out for me so that I can feel good about me? Um, and so, I think this is where humanity has to adjust our thinking that there's something external that has answers or clues. And once we do that, like the more that I give up that notion, and I'm seeing more and more everyday ways that I'm clinging to that notion, even if I don't recognize that's what that is. But it is because Summer pointed it out. Sitting over there, she could easily see the clinging. But the more that I release that, um, the freer I become to actually commune, to find out, because like asking myself questions, I always find the answers. The answers come to me immediately. And my only job then is just to recognize the answers when they come. So I don't resist anymore that the waters are muddy because actually they need to be, if that makes any sense. But all the answers are out there, every answer. So it's not about there's only one right answer to every question. No, it's about sitting with the situation that you have and asking the right question for that situation and the answer that you need that's relevant to your situation will show up for you if you're willing to recognize that's what's taking place here. And so I want to point out the synchronicities. Since that conversation where I shared with the book group um, exactly what I'm moving through here with the end of my program and how I'm feeling about it. And I sat with myself after we had discussion because we did, and I felt as though um, first of all, I value everybody's opinion, but I don't put anyone's opinion over my own. So I want to state that. But it was so important for me to hear from you, Summer, because it reminded me of things that I know for sure, and sometimes forget. And also, it gave me a new direction of thinking. Um, because sometimes I get really excited and I just want to run to the finish line with it instead of just looking at it as, ooh, a piece of the puzzle, or isn't that interesting? And just sitting back and allowing the pieces to move into position and let the truth reveal itself to me. I want to start grabbing pieces and jamming them together you know, and then pretty soon I've got a Picasso looking character there. And it's not that oh, I feel terrific about it. I feel all like this about it at the end. I go, well, that's not what I was trying to create. So I'm trying to let go of this clinging to things and practice just sort of flowing with things and asking this profound universe. Because, really, if every cell in our body is mostly nothing, like science has showed us that the more you try to zero in and name and label all the parts and pieces of what is a cell, it's mostly just pure potentiality. It is the field. It is God, if you want to put a fine point on it or a label of some kind, but it is spirit. It is space. It is what holds all of this together. That is creationary force itself. And so when I think of the trillions and trillions of cells that make up this universe called Lisa, um, I have access to infinite wisdom in every moment of now because I can tap into that. I can go within and allow it to show me what it needs because each cell is a professional at its job. It knows what it's doing because it never forgot. It is me in my mind that has forgotten that I am creator playing in a physical environment for the experience. And I feel like it's because of this potential to have a concept of a thing, but not really know until I play with it, until I physically create it and see if my hypothesis holds water. And then that makes your life an adventure, right? Not a problem to be solved, but more of an exploration, a play, if you will, to see what happens next. And in that space, it isn't life and death, if you will, because honestly, I know that when I relieve myself of this physical bubble of biology, I don't simply cease to exist because you cannot destroy energy, and I'm an energy being. And so I go on to, explore and um, exist, continue to expand elsewhere. And so having that on board is really helping me to enjoy the process and conversations like this too, because it reminds me of those things when I forget.
Mhm.
Wow, that
Yeah.
Yeah.
was beautiful, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
for sharing that.
guys.
Yeah.
This is really beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. So did you learn anything in particular that you would love? Because I want to hear Summer talk.
Ab-
Um,
About
from
my,
your particular healing journey and where you're at and where you're going, because you sent me a video earlier. So this is kind of why I want to go down this path. Um, and Sheila did too, so I don't want to get the two confused. Yours was about the mold.
yeah,
Um,
I found that interesting. He was talking about studies that found certain probiotic strains would actually fight off and bind to mold and carry them out of the body. And so I thought that was really interesting, especially in light of the Super Gut book that we're reading and
yeah,
all that we're learning about, all the helpful little bacteria and then not so helpful. But that's comes back to community too. I was thinking that too. That's a community too, and that's just an example of how some aspects of the community have become rogue, right?
Right.
yes,
They've taken over because of the absence of the other ones that need to be there to keep a harmonious balance. Uh,
yes,
and that is very intriguing to me. That's why I really love this book and this concept because it's like, oh, like, yes, it is still throwing another pill, throwing another thing at this issue, but at least this is about like strengthening the biome. Basically, it's like diversifying the field so that harmony has more of a chance of being created, right?
Right.
um,
mhm,
I think like for a long time I was thinking about like it's a lot of cleansing is very
yeah.
stripping, right? And I feel like a lot of my life I've focused on the stripping.
Me too. Destroying, getting rid of.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
stripping, killing,
Yeah.
getting rid of the bacteria, but like also not really like fully doing the whole protocol with the binding and stuff like we've talked about before, the lack of binding, and then the system gets backed up and gets, so toxic. Um, but yeah, so it is really interesting. That's why I sent you that video because I thought, because mold has been on my mind. I know
Mhm.
I have constant exposure to mold where I live. I know it.
We did
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so
It's
it's a
just
big
like,
part of my problem.
yeah. And so I feel like
I
it's this
suspect, I want to go on the record and say, I suspect
Okay.
almost everyone
Everybody.
is having those sorts of issues too.
Yeah, the video touched on that too, saying just like how we're storing and shipping and receiving our food makes it very susceptible. So I think just about everything that comes to you from a grocery store has that potential.
Right.
If it isn't already saturated and we're just not aware of it, the potential for it to be there is so high because of the way we're doing things.
Yeah, and there's a lot of environmental exposure to it as well. I want to say that if we do decide to put this video out, with
Yes.
both of your permission, I would like to include, because I know we'll get questions about it, the two videos that you're speaking on, Lisa, in the Show More
Oh,
section.
absolutely. Okay, so also, so a couple of things that I wanted to share with you all about those two videos came up for me. So this is kind of an illustration of what I was talking about earlier about asking myself questions. So I kind of feel like this blood piece is just a puzzle or a game, something I get to figure out, a mystery. And so I'm investigating it, and that makes me feel better than I'm dying and I have to fix something, or I'm broken, and those kind of thoughts aren't helpful to me. I now know that without a doubt. So I'm entertaining new ways of thinking about the subject. And so I've been asking questions about what do I need to know about this situation with the blood? What is it? And that is the question also I took to Dr. J yesterday. And he said some very interesting things to me. First of all, he said, I wrote him down here, that it's more than just a physical problem. He said you have the micro, the macro, and the subtle, which like the interdimensional or the spiritual is kind of how I was feeling that. This you've got the tiny and the large and the unseen, if you will. Um, and I was like, yes. So to me, that's another holy trinity. Like you cannot separate them because, like, sort of in a Mandelbrot set kind of way,
Yep.
they're all the same thing. It's just at what point are you looking at it from what angle? And he mentioned, and this is too why I went to the lengths of entertaining this other company because of the facial test. She saw the mold, and I had wondered about those things. So I asked Dr. J if he felt like mold, bacteria, viruses, parasites could be causing the blood issue. Is the question I was holding, and he was telling me that he feels like perhaps because of long conversations he and I have had in the past, um, that maybe a lot of this is still on the subtle, which means I have more control of it and it doesn't necessarily have to go all the way to, bone cancer, which the Cancer Institute is watching me closely because they wait until it gets to that part and then they jump in. So he's saying it doesn't even have to get that far. If you catch it in the subtle body, if you will. And then I thought of my own meditations where I was shown what I call my light body, and that everything starts there and then it funnels into the physical realm. And if I were to erase it out of let's call that pre-matter template, if you erase it there, it never manifests physically. And like you said, it takes a long time of being in the subtle body before it moves quite naturally and thoroughly into the physical body. And there is, luckily for us, a time lag, meaning, you know, you've got time in there to change your mind and to change what you're doing and to change the outcome. So we had total control here. But he brought up a couple of things. One of them was frequency, because again, I'm sticking with the subtle body piece of this. Frequency affects the subtle body, and you can sort of deal with things there. So that's something to look into. Then he talked a little bit about mushrooms and fungi, and that basically how it's connected and it communicates, and it's almost a frequency, right? So it works with the subtle body as well as the physical body. So the mushroom is a very special little friend of ours. And from my meditations and videos I've watched before, I kind of hold that like the mycelium network as sort of the cosmic fascia, if you will. It's that little mesh weaving that touches every organ and holds it all together in some way and shoots data back and forth between, like my heart and my lungs, for instance. There's a lot of synergistic work being done together through fascia. And so you could say that this mushroom network or fungi network, mycelium also functions in much the same manner. Well, that got me really excited. He also mentioned looking into Terence McKenna's work, and I've really just scratched the surface on that front. And I know that there's a plethora there to dive into, but he spoke to me specifically about Rishi and having a conversation with it. And I have. So he told me that last time and I picked it up and I have been playing with it. And it's I want to say it feels like a teacher to me. It's playful, but also it wants to share data because when I took it, I felt a conversation develop and it wanted me to relax. It was calling attention to my nervous system and it wanted me to relax in a certain particular manner. It sort of invited me to go into a particular, like almost frequency or brainwave. I don't have the words exactly to describe it. And I hate to even describe it because the words limit the conversation that I'm having in ways that I don't care for. And some words have specific connotations that also aren't what I'm talking about. So bear with me as I struggle to get through that. But suffice it to say, the more time I spend with it, the more my eyes are being opened on many levels, the subtle level and the physical level, to what I am participating in here in this physical realm and reality. Um, Secondly, because I could talk for days, so I want to stick to the points that he made. Okay, so the mushroom, for me specifically, and then he talked about something called beta glucans. And he said mushrooms are loaded with it. So they're fabulous for this. And the video that you sent me,
He
and
mentioned,
heavy metals. So before we get into the video, and heavy metals was the third thing, looking down at my notes. And then he talked about how these, I'm going to call them bad actors just because that's how I feel them within my body. But there are, the bacteria that are wreaking havoc within me. So some thrive through heavy metal. Like it feeds them, it activates them, it protects them, it does all kind of things, it hides them. Okay, and then once I get that on board, the mold comes in and it supports them in a completely different way, and then the metals support that, and then so it becomes this whole vicious cycle of they all cooperate and work together for my own discomfort and the demise of my physical body. And so these are the ways that we can look at what's going on within me and investigate these particular areas. And I said, okay, thank you. Now I feel like I have direction. I asked the questions and I got it. Like it came in very succinctly, right? And so then I was sitting with what I jotted down here and what I recalled him saying, and I was thinking in terms of what can I do, like what's the next right step for me today, right? And as you know, Summer, I've been working with the yogurt, and I've had some questions about the yogurt because some of the yogurts that I'm working with, um, they're going too far in the fermentation process. And then I've been asking, is it safe to consume these? Because I kind of feel like I should eat it anyway. And a couple times I have. So I threw away a few batches. And then recently I've just been mixing it up as good as I can. And then I mix it with some Greek yogurt from the grocery store. And I'm consuming it anyway because my body keeps giving me that message. And I thought, well, I won't know why until I play with it and see. And my concern was because I saw a video where a scientist was talking about it, and he said at a certain point, if it's doing these things, which my yogurt was doing, he said then it has overpopulated and now the die-off has begun. And he said, you really don't want to fill your body up with these dead bacteria. And then I drove myself crazy with, well, when should I eat this yogurt, or how when do I take the supplement of the probiotic, because there are some I haven't learned to ferment yet, and so I'm still taking them in a tablet form. And I'm asking myself all these questions about the bacteria and how to get the best benefit. Should it be on an empty stomach? Should it be with food? And and I belong to some groups on Facebook, and everybody's asking the same question, and there's a different answer from all 900 people that want to answer that question for this inquiry. So I realized, yeah, yet again, you got to return to self. Well, Summer sends me this most gorgeous video on the subject of bacteria and how that it can, and how that, like the mechanism of it. So it binds, these probiotics bind with mold, metals, and other toxins in ways that aren't about destroying anything or killing anything or wiping anything out, like Summer was mentioning earlier. And so it just gently, and he said they don't even have to be alive, because it's kind of like hand soap, for instance. Like the science behind the hand soap is the hand soap sort of gobbles up it and dissolves into it the bacteria, which then binds, the soap binds itself to the water, and binds itself, the soap binds itself to the toxin or the germ that you want gone. And when you rinse the soap off your hands, the water washes away the whole mess, and then you're free of it, right? That's how this works. It binds, alive or dead. It's just a physical reaction that happens when they come in contact, they bind. And then because your body is having a digestive process, so food is fine with it, even if, because you're eating food and the acid now digests the alive bacteria you've eaten, it's okay, because that binding happens either way. And through the digestion and elimination process, you've beautifully neutralized something that could have caused you harm. And I thought, wow, just the beauty of that picture right there alone just had me in awe this afternoon, because you said that and I watched that right before, while I was waiting for Sheila with her rehab. And I thought, wow, that is such an amazing thing right there. And it answered about 10 or 15, this little video, questions I've been asking myself. And
Cool.
and there it was. Like it was all right there. And then after that one, I saw something Sheila sent to me before she went in, you know, sometime this morning. I don't know when she sent me another video about frequency, which is also on this list of things that I talked about with Dr. J. And it's about humming and that triggered. I didn't get a chance to listen to that whole thing because then somebody from the farm texted me and we're making an appointment to get out there. And Sheila came out, and I just didn't get a chance to go back to your video, Sheila. But what it did, the 5 minutes I saw of it, called to mind something that I have been just thinking about. I just can't stop thinking about playing with tuning forks and putting them on. There's like specific places I see doing it. Like I just see myself doing that over my liver, putting it on my rib cage here at the bottom and just sort of the area with the frequency. And that's what Sheila's video is about, frequency. And um, he was talking about humming with your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And I had heard that before, and I have had some beautiful meditations that start that way, where you're humming and you basically it's to get you into like the theta, and you are just toning and feeling that vibration until, well, I've actually left my body from changing because it sort of freed me and I was able to go with it. So I know the power of frequency for sure because I played with it enough to have enough experience that I know it's valid and it's real. And I hadn't really made a conscious connection between like humming or chanting and health until very recently. And I've not acted on it, which is so funny. And then it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up. And so now I know, oh, it's time to act on that. Wait a minute, I'm missing a piece of the puzzle because I'm too busy looking for somebody to test me and tell me what to do.
Well, I
That's
think
so
you're right
cool.
about that because here's the thing. I ask myself, what do I need to see? And that
Yeah.
video came up into my field, and
Oh, I love that. So that's something we can play with together. This is
I
fun.
thought to share that with you. And the 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 truth for me in that video, which, like I said to everybody, there will be, if we decide to put this out, I'll put it in the show more section. But if we don't, Heather, Summer, for your benefit, there will be, I've already placed that video in the puzzle piece, hashtag puzzle piece alert,
Okay.
playlist on the channel because I
Nice.
think it's a very good, it's not just a scientific explanation about it, but it also shows for me the beauty of how our body actually already has within it everything that is required. Because one of the things that it does, there's now been studies, which I
Okay.
shared in my pulmonary rehab class this morning.
Oh, love this.
Um, there's studies that to do this humming, it it causes vibratory resonance in the skull with the sinus cavities
Hmm.
and creates nitric oxide.
Hmm.
And the act of then inhaling, because humming basically is exhaling,
Hmm.
and the act of inhaling is then taking that nitrous oxide in, nitric oxide, sorry, not nitrous oxide.
That'd be so funny.
No, it would, wouldn't it? But it also it does activate those nerves that it takes you out of the fight or flight and into rest and relax.
Relaxing your nervous system. Oh, I love
Exactly.
that.
So,
Thank you for that.
yeah,
Yeah. I
absolutely.
probably have watched that video you're talking about because it rings a bell for me, and I've been doing a lot of the humming, like especially before I go to bed at night.
Awesome.
You hum until you have no breath, right? And then you immediately inhale as long and as deep, and
You
not
probably got an instruction video, and if you find that and you don't mind sharing it with me, I'll put that in the puzzle piece playlist as well. But this one actually goes more to explaining the science
uh-huh.
and what all it does,
Yeah.
and the reasoning behind it. It's about a 25-minute video, and I don't know, I found it very informative
Yeah,
and
it's really cool. And you cannot deny the effect. If you do this for 5 minutes, you will feel it's like everything goes, ah.
yes, you're so right. I did it. I did it this morning myself before I left, and I noticed something, and which is again why I felt drawn to it. I noticed something before when I had been ill, pretty ill, and I was worried for myself before that
Mhm.
I caught myself humming unbeknownst to myself.
Yes,
Not even
I
thinking
know what
about it.
you speak of. You do that quite a lot, like you're not aware of it.
Right. Like I'm not even aware of it. And oh, I wonder what that's, and it's not and it's just a totally mindless type of thing. And I'll catch myself. And I think that is, again, the wisdom of the body
Yes.
just taking over and doing what it knows is the best for it. Since
Mm-hmm.
you're over here not paying attention, I'll just go ahead and keep us alive. Thank you very much. Kind of deal.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you find that though, Summer, and you wouldn't mind sharing it with me, I'll put it in the show more section of this
Okay.
video as well. And
Yeah.
also in the puzzle piece.
So how do you do it? Since you do it, if you wouldn't mind sharing that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, you just hum as long as you can on your out breath. Um,
Okay.
and it's good to pick one tone and just stay with that same tone.
Okay.
And lately I've been um, playing with the 432 hertz.
Ooh.
And
Yes.
so I'll listen to that tone and then I'll try to just keep doing that on my own with that tone.
Okay.
But yeah, so you'll find that your exhales become longer and longer as you do it because
Yeah.
you're relaxing more and more into it. And yeah, so it's a very relaxing, grounding
Yeah.
um, practice. But also the frequency part, if you're interested in that,
Yes.
Eileen McCusick is the founder of Biofield Tuning, and she teaches the method. And she is a genius. She came up with this method. She just played with tuning forks, and over many years of having patients on, I guess I'm not sure, but she probably started out as like a body worker or something. And so she had people on the massage table, and she found over time that she could work, like she could find out about how the frequencies work by, using a certain frequency tuning fork and running it through their field and seeing how it would change in certain areas. And those areas were areas where the energy was kind of like locked up and
Gnarly. Yeah.
not moving. And so, yeah, she actually teaches her method, and she has lots of videos out and
Yeah.
things
How
like.
do we find her?
But if you look at biofield tuning, I can send you
Thank
a
you.
link to like her YouTube page.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if you don't mind, and we'll include it. And
Yeah, no, I would love that because I was telling Sheila on our way home here for this conversation that I have been looking at some tuning forks and my major question really with that is because this is what pops up for me. You don't even know what you're doing. What are you gonna do with those things? And then I saw myself like knocking it and putting it on my bones because
That's so
I've seen
funny.
videos of people doing that, and I feel like no, that's what I would do. That would feel really, I don't know, significant in some way. I mean, it feels important for me to do, but yeah, I don't really know what frequency are, but I'll find out. And you just brought it right to me in this next conversation. This is synchronicity. This is how, the universe answers your query.
Yes, thank you
I
for
wanted
bringing
to
that
know a
forward, Lisa.
frequency that will help my liver and my blood creation stuff. So, yay.
And
Now
they also have devices too. Like I've been looking into this too, like because you
okay.
could really like spend a lot of money on buying all the different tuning forks and all the different frequencies and
Yes.
you
I was noticing that and got overwhelmed, and that is what has stopped me thus far. I was
yeah,
telling Sheila about that because, boy, it's really expensive getting into trying to, and then you don't even know what to do with them.
yeah.
It's the other thing.
Or you could, spend $100 to a couple $100 on a device that actually can do all different frequencies. You can just set it.
Which is brings us to the other thing that I also spoke to Lisa about on
You
the way home
did
when
when
she
I
brought
brought up
that
the
up.
tuning forks.
Right. There's been something else similar to what you're speaking on right there came into my field that I was very drawn to, and it is exactly that what you're speaking on there. It has the ability to uh
I
I
love
don't know if
it.
it's cycle through or what I have to do a little bit more research into what it is I was being shown, but it is that very thing. So that all the frequencies are available.
You could set a certain frequency for a certain time and then you can go to a different one. And so,
Right.
yeah, I've been interested in that too.
So
Even
would you like listen with headphones, or is this something like what do you do with this device?
well, I've seen some people actually put them on their bodies.
That's what it looked like I
Some of
was being
them
shown.
Oh.
are like very
So it's a
small.
generator of the frequency in a more palpable way, not a sound.
Yeah, the ones that I was looking at so far are silent. They to the ear.
Oh, right.
They put out
Oh,
the
fascinating.
frequency. And also, like I was looking at one and it had like a 250-foot radius or something. So you could put it in your house and like have the whole room or the much of the house be in that frequency
Right.
as well. And yeah, I just find that fascinating too because hearing Eileen McCusick, who came up with the biofield tuning practice,
How do you
she
spell that? Sorry. McCusick?
I think it's
Hmm.
McCusick maybe. Um, yeah, I can forward
Okay,
you
thank you. Go
her
ahead. I didn't
information.
mean to interrupt, but I want to
Oh, yeah.
get her
That
name.
one thing that she was saying was talking about how your field, everything starts in your field. And so if there are kind of knots and like the flow is not right and in a certain area of your field, and if it just keeps going on and on and on that way, then it creates the actual illness or the pain in the body that eventually is created. So she's very much about working from the field so from the subtlest to the densest layers,
And I
right?
want to
Love
say this
that.
about that, Summer, because okay, so for me, when I think of what the human vessel actually is,
Yes.
it is a focusing mechanism for spirit, for soul, whatever it is. It's not just a container, but a focusing mechanism that we funnel ourselves down into because you go from the all that is focused into a pinpoint of perspective
Hmm.
through the physical vessel. So, of course, you're coming through that subtle field, which helps that pinpointing. That makes a lot of sense to me. And what you just said there, that it's going to be out. Well, of course, because you're out there too, that you, that is you, are coming in through that.
Yeah, it's like your toroidal field, right?
Yes, it's oh wow. Which also, we had another huge shot from the sun, I suppose you both know.
Yeah, can't
Um,
wait.
just the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or Sunday, but an X point.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
Oh
about.
yeah, another X flare. Yes,
Hmm.
it's caused some rumblings, earthquakes already.
Hmm.
Um, I understand that there was a news program that was showing some of the uh, like M3 and M4 magnitudes 3 and 4 in your area right off the coast that were already developing.
Did
So
you feel any of that?
No. It's probably the Cascadia fault there off. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you're probably
Some
right.
people are saying, like that thing could create like such a huge change, in the topography here if it really had a big one. But it's been like small, small, small. So I think
Right.
that that's a good
Which
way.
is
Like,
good.
yeah, it just lets off
It's
the
dispersing that,
exactly. So there it's
keeping
not
that
like
big
one big
explosion
heat.
that big.
Yeah, and just like last year too, underneath Mount Rainier, they were detecting unusually a amount of earthquakes
Right.
under the mountain, and so people were like, "Oh no," But I mean, it happens all the time, but it was just happening a lot, and so I think it was just like shaking off, the excess, which
Yeah,
is good.
that's
But that's
probably so.
Uh-oh.
That's probably so. And the fact
Mhm.
that the sun and the earth are in communication with each other, it's not a surprise to me that there's been
Well,
some releasing.
when you guys were talking about that, it reminded me of getting back to like the communities.
Mm,
When enough of us regulate our nervous system, it like helps the Earth's immune system, if that makes any sense. So she doesn't have to do the radical shake and quake and break everything apart. If enough of us create the calm and the peace, then I feel like the earth can regulate in a more
mhm.
gentle fashion, kind of like how the bacteria just being there and they can just kind of scoop up the crap and take it out with them in sort of a gentle way. Like there are gentle ways to help the earth to do what she naturally does to keep her health and balance and homeostasis.
Right.
And I feel like these huge cataclysms, because there are a lot of stuff on the internet right now about how we're due for another extinction level event.
Right. I know.
And I know that we have had many of them. And I'm wondering, I've been contemplating, do those events happen in correlation to how out of balance our communities are? Like then it affects the whole, and the whole body has a major problem that it has to shake off or, rectify. And maybe if our little communities of the helpful people want to get together and focus on regulating and assisting, like I'm thinking of our farm communities and things that we can be doing just to look after ourselves in our immediate environment and our immediate environment itself, like helps the earth to do what she has to do without the whole, cancer surgery and remove organs and stuff like that,
Right.
and we won't be shot off or go extinct in the process of it if we take responsibility for how we got here. like the bucket. You could say the Earth's bucket's really full, and what are we going to
Right.
do about it?
Well, that focusing mechanism applies to the earth as well, because that's, a sentient being as well,
Yes.
and made up of the collective energetically, in my view, from my perspective.
It's like we're the intestinal bacteria of this being. And
Quite
either we're
literally.
helpful or we're not so helpful. It's up to
Right.
us.
So true.
Yeah.
A couple of things I wanted to mention that might be interesting to you too is with Eileen, who's doing the frequency. She's also teamed up with um, two guys who have been. I've seen them around. They do like activating your voice workshops and like opening your voice, because your voice is your instrument of healing, right? And your own tones and tenor or whatever it is that your voice has actually has keys for the health of your field, your body. And I think they're called the Brothers Corin or something like that. But she's teamed up with them, and she released an album with them about like, and it's like all about like getting in touch with vocally how you can express and in thereby release certain emotions that might be clogging up your
Well, kind
field.
of interesting that you brought that forward,
Mm.
because our collaborator on New Light Streaming Love, Crystal Hemphill, has created an entire course of just that very thing,
Cool.
of how each being can find their own. And I'll put a link to that in the show more section as well, because it's through Udemy, and it's always there and always available. And I don't think it's very expensive either. And once purchase it, it's yours to keep, of course. And so, yeah, no, I think that's a very, very real thing. And especially whether you think so or not, each being's voice has a lot to offer each being. Now,
Yeah.
there are some other voices that carry other frequencies that can be helpful. Mine is one of them. Um, but each being is the only one that can do it for themselves specifically. And it's a
Mhm.
really easy thing, I think. So,
When you think of it in terms of we're all pieces of the one thing, the one being, there's only one being here.
right.
There's no one unimportant,
No, that's right.
and every tone counts and matters.
Yes.
And matters. Get what I did there? That's a
No, I
little
do.
beauty for you.
No, I got that quite literally matters.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, life is so exciting. I can't hardly stand it.
Yeah, so if you'll send me a link to that, please, Summer, I will put that in the show more section along with crystals,
Okay.
because that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much. I mean, we could talk for hours and
Yes,
hours.
we could. I think we kind
Different.
of have.
Well,
Uh,
see, another proof positive that we just have to do it a little bit more often.
Yes.
And if the two of you are willing, let's do so.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know I am.
Yeah. I need more people to nerd out on this kind of stuff with.
Yes.
And it
Yes,
helps.
I
I think it
agree.
helps, obviously. It also helps all of us to kind of like, you know, gain just a wider perspective on what's happening. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you're like I've found myself a couple days ago just feeling like so frustrated with the whole thing. Like, and I don't we didn't really go much into it, but Lisa, I feel like I'm kind of in the same place you are. Like, yeah, I feel better, but I don't feel like I've really, got to the root of the issue yet.
Yes.
Well,
And
now I feel compelled to bring your words back into it. And that is that it takes a little time to go,
Yeah, that was
right?
really
Because those were your words very specifically.
It's
And
just a
so,
weary, I feel like a weary traveler sometimes. Like, why do
yeah.
I'm still
no, I
here?
totally listen. Are you kidding me? I feel you. I was here once
Oh,
before.
I
Why am I
know.
back?
Right.
But I do,
Okay.
I feel like
So
there's
that's
we don't know what we don't know. And there is reasons for everything. And because of that not knowing, I think we just have to relax into ourselves and continue on
mm,
asking those questions and have faith that that we are. I get the weary traveler part
yeah.
because I
But
feel that with every inch of me.
but that's why what we're doing here is so important
Yes.
because we're encouraging and supporting one another along the path. And boy, a little bit of that goes a long way. It really does. And if you think about it, if we are all one, right, we
Mhm.
are so much better together. We are. We're not created to be one lone entity because that's too foreign of a concept and it doesn't it's not congruent. It doesn't play out because we're not codependent, of course. We're intradependent. We literally need each other. And whatever wisdom that I'm not accessing in the moment, in this moment, I find my community, someone is expressing just that for me. And it's such a soft and comforting and beautiful exchange when I allow myself to see it that way versus giving someone else my authority or dismissing them out of hand as, they have nothing to offer me. Both of those extremes do not serve me at all. And so I'm trying to catch myself in the act of that and practicing remembering that it is an interdependent relationship I have with all things, not just my community of fellow human beings, but animals, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the planet herself. And we aren't separate from them, and we can't behave any longer as though we are because
No,
it's
that's so
not
true.
serving.
That's so true.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just the gathering like this, like our book club.
Mhm.
Like it's so important. And I feel like it is for me.
Me too.
It has served me so well, and I'm ever so grateful
Yes.
for all of you ladies that engage, and anyone and everyone that watches these, because
They're
honestly,
engaging too,
they're
aren't they?
engaging as well. That's correct.
And you can feel it. I know that it seems out there to say, you can feel somebody interacting with something they haven't looked at yet, but actually it's in the field. It just is.
Hmm.
And so because of that, you can benefit from it at will. Like everything that we talked about here today was an energetic envelope. These videos that, I brought into the conversation, that person benefits from this conversation on a level that's subtle, right?
Right.
And they may not have a physical awareness of it, but that doesn't matter
Mm-mm.
because it feeds them. It's a part of them they shared and they feel it and it's that spooky action at a discount. At a
At a
discount.
discount.
At a distance that Einstein talked about.
At a discount. Where
And
can
at
I?
a discount too, because I didn't pay anything for it.
Oh, that's right.
It just
I love
happened. It was
it.
a beautiful thing.
That was great. I love
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
Lisa.
I'm getting tired. Or my tongue is or something. Sorry.
Well, I better get going soon,
Yeah,
but
thank you
did
for
you want
this.
any like more details about what I experienced in my program, or were you interested in any specifics about them?
Um,
But
well, I
important.
wanted to hear anything you wish to share because I figure if you wish to share it, then there's something in it for me.
And I would like
Um,
to ask you both because now this is fully the probably the second or third time I've heard this in my
yes.
head.
Okay. What's that?
Well, I am going to get questions about the companies that the two of you are speaking on. I already know that. And I don't have a problem putting that information in the show more section of this video. If folks really are interested in these places, and I leave it to the two of you as to decide if you wish to do that or not.
Yeah, I'm open to doing that
Okay.
because I think both companies are beautiful and
Yeah.
valid, and I'm grateful for them
Okay, awesome.
being in
I
existence
agree. I
to
think they're
serve
doing
us all.
real service.
Mhm.
Yes, I would agree to that. Yes, a huge
And
service.
I'm sensing a movement away from sort of the allopathic approach to things and more into an integrative sort of
Holistic.
a holistic point of view on it. And so I think these companies are going to be very important moving forward.
Right,
And I think these discussions are very helpful
right,
for that, helping people on both ends of it, those that are servicing and those that will be looking for the service.
right.
Mhm. Yeah, I felt like it was really the whole program, the people were very supportive.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, we loved the people, or
yeah,
the one person that we met so far. Yeah, she was lovely.
yeah, and I just, I really liked the fact that it started off with that the face, the eyes, the
Me
tongue
too.
analysis. So it showed you that they had roots in like ancient medicine too. And it's not like they can tell so much just by looking at your face, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
as
I found that to be true too, because, I have had so much go on with my body for them to be able to pinpoint everything they were
Such
able.
accuracy. Yeah, it was like astounding.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, so while I didn't go all in with like the stool sample and everything like that, it was more of just like it was a stretch for me financially just to do the program itself. Really, it
Right.
was.
Right. Yes.
Plus all the supplementation and everything.
Hmm.
So I just decided to do what I could, and that was just the hair sample. And I happened to already have a recent blood test because I was starting to look into working with a naturopath locally.
Yes.
But I just felt like when I met him, I just felt like he couldn't help me. He didn't have like, and
And
then I had watched the some webinars with Dr. Rob, and I love his energy
Yes.
and also just felt like he knew what he was talking about. Um,
yes.
and I love the fact that like on one of the first one I watched was he said right off the bat, your body has everything it needs to heal. It just has to have the right environment to get back to its natural state of healing, right? And so
Hmm. Hmm.
and it was a holistic program, so it wasn't just throwing a bunch of supplements. It did involve a lot of supplements, but it was also okay. This part of the program, we're cleansing your liver, and these are the things you need to cut out of your diet, and these are the practices that we suggest. And so then once the liver pathways were cleansed, then I went on to a lymph cleanse, and it was kind of like a program that was like layered, like they would layer in like, okay, now we're going to layer in the parasite cleansing and the binding and then it ended, when it ended I was doing like uh, renal cleansing, and starting on the myco cleanse, like all the what's it called, the molds detoxing and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And then of course, then there was like, this is what we recommend for like getting rid of the non-stick pots and pans that, if you have those things, and
Yeah.
looking at like your environment and what kind of what's in the water that you're drinking, do you know? And just things like that, because those could be ways that toxins are sneaking back in,
Yep. Yep.
Uh, so yeah, I found that it was a great program. And like I said, overall, I did feel better, but I have more of a journey to go on.
Right. Right.
And I couldn't afford to keep working with them, really. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I also wanted to take the break too. I was like, just being on that
It's
program,
intense, isn't it?
yeah, and just being like, okay, what pill do I take and what am I doing today? And it was just
Hmm.
so it was such a nice feeling of like not having any of that to worry about for a while.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, thank you for sharing like what the steps were because so we in my program we had a curriculum and the curriculum does the same thing effectively. Only like they don't label it as okay, and now we're gonna cleanse your liver. But what they did say is like we're going to slowly work up to a full detox. And it was a 14-day detox. And they take you off of things in a very organized fashion,
Mhm.
which I'm just I like to know what I'm doing and why. That's just the kind of person I am. So I was reading all the labels of everything I was doing, and I was researching. If I had a question like, why are we doing this? Why did we stop this? Why are we, you know, limiting that? What is, and I asked myself, and then also sometimes Google, what are the benefits of this? Like, why is this product? One that they're choosing right now. And that picture came together for me. I could see that they developed the program similarly. And, like the first 3 months, the first 90 days are about getting you into homeostasis. It's like there are certain things like hydration, for instance. You mentioned also the clean water. And so they were talking to us about the first thing they did is send us home with 3 gallons of the condensed water.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I was like, uh-huh. That's of
And they
course.
started with making sure you've got to get the right amount and the right kind, so clean as you can receive and
Right.
like that. And so it's like the first 90 days were about cleansing and fortifying the gut, like they talked about supporting the gut and creating a healthy environment to receive the food that we're going to nourish our body with. And all the while, they were teaching us how to nourish our bodies. So there were certain foods like cooked vegetables 3 times a day, so at every meal. And like the proportions of healthy fat and what you want to have on your plate at the meal. So they told you how they teach you how to eat and nourish your body. So that was beautiful. Um, and then they kind of go off once they get you into homeostasis because they kind of know what the American diet is doing to everyone. And if you are just a normal cat off the street, you've been eating the sad diet, right? And so this establishes a new way of thinking about food the first 90 days and also a gentle walking you through and each phase, and they were doing 30-day phases, had specific meals. And so you went down in foods that you had to drop off till you got to 2 weeks of the intense cleansing arena. And you still ate your vegetables and meat and your healthy fats. So you kind of never gave up food altogether. And then after that, they would reintroduce the foods because you're tested at the beginning of what your food sensitivities are. And then they reintroduce those foods at the end and you test, you test by I'm going to eat this for 3 days. Don't add anything else new. I'm going to keep going with what I've been doing during the cleanse. And then now I'm going to, or the detox portion, which is just your healthy vegetables and your healthy fats, and now you're adding fruit again. And then you would feel in your body how it feels to add that food back. Does this cause a problem for me? Is it settling nice for me? What is happening? And so then for me specifically, that was another like 3 months. And then we were addressing certain things that were coming up for me during that time. So I feel like they're having a similar approach to what yours did, only I feel like they labeled it and talk about it different and formulate their things in their own way. And I don't know that one is better than the other necessarily now that I've explored um, both of them a little bit more. And I feel like you could probably go to anyone that you feel simpatico with. Just like you said, the first guy, oh, he just wasn't for you. To me, that's more important than anything because I think the teaching is probably the same, from whatever, I don't know what the education system is, but why I was also attracted to Dr. Rob is because throughout my entire curriculum, I heard these words for 6 months coming from my team. And so I knew he knew what he was talking about because I knew how thorough my team was and, really knowledgeable on the subject. And so, my advice to anybody looking for functional medicine is find somebody that you feel like you can be your true self around. Find somebody that you feel like listens and gets you. Somebody that you can be in relationship with, because that's what you're doing here. You're forming a relationship and you're exchanging information. And so, whatever and I feel like the information is quite similar, especially after, hearing more about what you physically went through. I would say that was the same experience for me, really. And
Yeah, it sounds
again,
like
it was
yours was
just
more
different
thorough, though.
technique.
It sounded like you went through a significantly more thorough program as far as like, getting like really, really cleaning up the diet and then slowly introducing certain things. And yeah, so that's probably why,
Well, also, yeah, learning how to feed your body properly at the end. You're not going, oh God, now I can't eat and I don't know what to eat. I
Well,
knew
and to be very
exactly what
clear,
to eat at the end.
right, and to be very clear, this was a very specifically tailored thing
right, to
for Lisa because of what that was one of the things that I noticed that this other, they and I'm sure they did the same thing for you with this other place. They see what you got going on and they tailor it specifically to what you have going on.
yeah.
And with four overlapping autoimmune situations, she had a lot going on. So
Yeah.
there was that.
And you
Mhm.
had the benefit of what the medical system was diagnosing you with to bring to these
I
doctors.
Right,
Like I didn't have that.
right.
Right. Which is
Exactly.
why I was thinking the tests that they were offering would be beneficial, especially because I have a friend who she's been going to a doctor and she has been doing all the things, but she feels like they're just patting her on her head and giving her a drug. She said completely unrelated to why I'm in here. And she's very disappointed in the allopathic path and she doesn't know what to do. So she's been picking my brains trying to figure out uh, where to go now. She wants to do something, but of course, she's paying a lot of money into an insurance premium, and these people don't take insurance. That's the trouble, is they're not recognized by the established allopathic path. And so there is no coverage. Like we're not supported to use this path. And that's really a major hurdle for us at the moment.
And
So, like
no
you said,
system.
it was very expensive for me as well. And, without being gifted support, I couldn't have done it either. So I can appreciate, that difficulty there. But also, I know that whatever you prioritize, you can manifest away. And it is just kind of by getting out of your own way. Like you have to first stop telling yourself, I can't afford it, because that's a self-fulfilling prophecy that comes through, comes true automatically. It's just how things work here by default. So, it first is making peace with what is. We got money, and then deciding that it doesn't have to dictate, the level of financial wherewithal you have today does not necessarily dictate what your choices and options are. Even if it looks that way in the moment, that's an illusion. That's false evidence appearing real. And I know it's real easy to talk about, and it's very difficult to walk the path, but I encourage you, anyone considering this, to really challenge that belief system that you don't have the financial wherewithal to do what you want, because
Well,
I'm
you're kind
so
of proof.
glad.
You're kind of proof
I'm
of
so
that.
glad
And
that I stuck with it, because honestly, I didn't go into fear. I didn't say, well, it's unattainable for me because I have no money. I went anyway. I signed up. I scrounged up the $150 just to talk to the people to decide if they would take me on. Actually, it was a two-way interview. Not only was I interviewing doctors, because that's my approach personally, but they were interviewing clients because they want to work with people who are ready to tackle and take responsibility their own health. And really, I can't blame them for that. I think that's a beautiful way to approach this. And so I started the process before I had fundage.
yeah.
And it was the universe got the signal that I'm serious, and it provided the way. It made it possible. So just make peace with your situation and ask for what you need, and then watch for it and, gratefully accept it. And you too you can do whatever it is you need to do. It's available to you if you allow it.
Aho.
Well, you made it happen. So you've proven it to yourself. Some kind of way you made it happen. So
Yeah.
if you want to continue, in some other path, I think that you know the ingredients to make it happen. And it doesn't have to be forced. You don't have to take on a second job. You don't have to figure it out. Let the universe figure it out and reveal it to you.
Yeah, I
So
think that's the biggest, and that's actually the best advice because like I said, I bore witness to what happened with Lisa. I mean, I know there wasn't the cash to do that. I live here, so, uh,
but I
you
didn't
know,
want that to be the reason why I
right,
chose not to help myself.
right. And lo and behold, when the gift arose, it's so funny too because Lisa had had inner guidance that the energetic accounting had been done and that there would be gifts coming her way to the
Yeah.
to the point that she would say, "Are you sure? Because that seems like too much, and I don't know." And I'm here to tell you that everything that that she's thought of, I'm
It's
just,
still arriving. I'm in awe
yes,
of what is happening in my life right now.
yes. And her inner guidance told her very specifically, her spirit team told her that you're not going to, you're gonna be kind of, it's gonna freak you out a little because of what actually
And
will
it
take
did.
place.
For months, I went through a whole thing behind receiving,
That's right.
behind receiving, period.
Yes. So
Wow.
because
I
we
had
had
a lot
we
of
had
resistance
exhausted
in the way.
everything. Yes,
And
we
my
had
bucket
exhausted.
was full of resistance, that drop, 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 each thought a drop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
but
And
you
we
can
had done
empty the bucket.
everything. We exhausted every avenue, including the avenue of disability
Yeah, yeah, we did.
for Lisa. And there was that was a she'd been out of work too long. There was nothing in there to do where that's
Yeah,
concerned.
yeah.
And so every avenue had been exhausted. And then out of
And in the
nowhere,
end, it wasn't anything I did. I couldn't have made this happen if I tried. It just happened.
it
So
just
Yeah.
happened. Yep.
that's
It's, I
the
think
moral of
we
that
would
story.
do well just to remember that and relax more,
Yeah,
trust
that's it.
more, and just say, hey, I need help here. Like I'm just gonna trust that everything's, I'm being held, and
Yeah,
everything's coming in that needs to, and I have all the resources that I need when I need it.
yep.
Yes, because
Well,
my inner guidance says, because I have asked that question, right, for my own self, right? Um, and I just keep getting that we don't know what we don't know, that there's reasons for every single thing,
yep,
and to just relax into myself. And
that's the
then
key.
I have to, I'm still working on the self-talk part. Because I can sit here and tell you all and point to Lisa and say, don't say that to yourself. All the
Yeah.
while I'm sitting over here just saying it to myself. Right. So but that is my inner guidance, and it is tough because it is a programmed condition that even when know that, because I absolutely know it. I've seen proof of how it works.
Mhm.
And it's so ingrained, so ingrained.
Yeah. I'm still uncovering layers of it myself where you just can't see it till you do. And then it gets easier to release. Just you observing that I'm doing that, that's progress actually. Because once upon a time you had no idea you were even doing that,
Right.
Mhm.
right? So it serves to know. And then after a while, you'll be like, I see what I'm doing there, and I'm gonna stop that. And you start stopping it before it comes out your mouth or before you spent 2 hours entertaining that thought.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
after a while, you notice, wow, that thought stopped coming around.
Yeah.
How interesting. When you hear it coming out of somebody else's mouth and you think to yourself, wow, I
And I
remember when I
have
used
had
to
that
have that
experience.
limiting thought loop, and I haven't heard that within me in a long time.
Right. And I
Thank
have had that
me for
experience.
letting that go.
Yep.
Finally.
I've had that exact experience that you're speaking on there. So
Yep.
I know that what you're speaking on is so,
Yeah,
which actually
we all
points
have.
to another reason these kinds of conversations are so helpful.
Yes.
Um, because just having the opportunity to engage in conscious conversation,
Hmm.
it's invaluable. And I'm so grateful to both of you
Yeah, same here. Thank
for
you for
this
showing up.
conversation today.
Yeah,
So
and I
do I have your
appreciate Summer
permission?
taking. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Ah, thank you
Yeah,
so
my pleasure.
much.
Yeah, and I want to thank Summer for taking time out of her schedule. I know that, you work in the day, and I so appreciate it when we can get together and do this because I really value what you have to say. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I value so much what you both have to contribute as well. We,
Mhm.
like you said, we're all stronger together.
That's right.
Yes.
And you are definitely a part of our community. And
Yeah.
I just adore that. I'm so
Yes, so
thankful.
true. Thank
Yeah,
you.
me too. I
Yeah.
adore you both.
Yes, I
Thank you
feel
so
Aw.
much.
for you as well. Me too. Mhm.
Well, if we don't see you again before, well, we will see you on Sunday, I suppose. Hey?
Yep, looking forward to it.
Okay,
Awesome. Me
awesome.
too. Yay.
Thanks,
All right,
Well,
y'all.
have a
sweetheart.
wonderful day.
You too.
Love you and love to
Bye.
everyone who tunes in later.
That's right. I love that.
Me too.
Bye.
Much love.